Welcome to BofC Live, the daily video and podcast series of Business of Cannabis. BofC Live highlights the companies, brands, people, and trends driving the global cannabis sector. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com. Coming up on BofC Live, we connect with Simon Gregson and Troy Cockriell of Integrated Display Group. They're a partner of ours going into an event next week on September 22nd for our cannabis retail series. We want to connect with them about their company, Integrated Display Group, the work they've done in cannabis, out of cannabis, and how to improve the in-store experience for brands. Simon, Troy, thank you for welcoming me to IDG. We're excited to be with you here today. Learn a bit about more what you do, how you do it, but also talk about an event we have coming up on September 22nd, part of our cannabis retail series. Simon, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of background about what IDG is and sort of the work you do.
Yeah, at IDG what we do is we develop custom point-of-purchase displays for leading brands. These crosses from all spaces, from consumer electronics to regulated spaces, the vape space, to cosmetics. We develop in-store displays that allows brands to drive their sale as the consumer makes their journey through the path to purchase.
Yeah, and people will see behind you that there's a scrolling screen about some of your work, exactly. So they will see that, which is great, and we'll show some of the work as we talk as well. We'll scroll through some of that. Troy, talk a little bit about, because we've had conversations offline about this exact thing, but I think it's really interesting that other sort of CPG companies, other verticals, have moved to being very brand-centric in-store.
Yeah, in fact, Jay, so IDG has helped two transformations specifically. Around 10 years ago, Shoppers Drug Mart, the leading drug chain in Canada, had realized they had all this space at the front of the store and they were trying to figure out what to do with it, and they came up with the concept of beauty boutique. And many of the leading brands came to IDG for help in how to stand out and how to tell their brand story. So it was about 10 years ago, so we did a lot of great work with a lot of great global brands. And around 5 years ago, Best Buy went through somewhat of a similar transformation. And if you walk into a Best Buy now, probably 75% of all the branded fixtures that you will see in there, IDG has designed, built, and installed. And we have been helping the best brands stand out in these very interesting retail verticals.
In both of those scenarios, it actually has become sort of the thing people know most, right? I mean, I think if you think about Shoppers and the beauty boutique, that's what people are most, you enter through that part of the store generally, and it really does make it a brand-centric conversation as a consumer, but also it really helps the consumer think about the products they're buying and the brands that are resonating with them. And especially, I think, and Simon, I want to get your thoughts, like, especially if a brand has more than one product in different categories, right? You can see the full suite of products. Talk a little bit about that and how brands are finding that.
Yeah, I mean, what we do there is we develop through our ideation and creative process. We'll work with a brand to develop the categories of displays that work well for them. So take, for example, working with Google. Google, most people see as a real search engine type product, but they have quite a few different SKUs that are available to retail. They do different things from security to your home, to creating music, to creating, to being a laptop computer. So we make sure that the brand has the correct merchandising or development of the feel that works across all those platforms to allow the customer to really engage the brand and say, hey, this is a holistic experience in what I'm buying with this type of product. Though to take a step back from that, products that are much more specific to their needs and to the producers, which is, say, headphones, then it'll be much more of a specific type display. So we try to marry them as best we can with what the brand is asking for at that time for that brand journey or product journey.
Yeah, so we're able to help brands with very complex products and complex brand stories, bring those to life in store and really differentiate from other brands.
Yeah, but at times too, you'll have a brand, like we do work in the cosmetic space where it's type of impulse type brand. It's a low cost point display, but it's very specific to that one item, that one need. So there's a lot of flexibility within that space, using creative to drive the brand messages, whether it's drilling down to one product that's launching or to a whole suite of products to make sure that brand captures the full message.
Yeah, it's interesting because everything you're saying, I obviously look at it with a cannabis lens, and I think people that are listening to this conversation will be with us on the 22nd, are thinking about these exact things, even if they don't know they're thinking about them yet. But they think about how people are interacting with brands and products in store and how that drives sales. From a retailer perspective, they're keen on that. From a brand perspective, they're trying to figure out how to do that in cannabis. And from a consumer perspective in cannabis, everybody's relatively new, right? So it's like all of these things combine in a Venn diagram, and in the middle is this: how do we maximize, well, not maximize the floor space in the retailer, but actually make it best for the consumer, best for the brand, and best for the retailer. And Troy, I see you're shaking your head. You've been to lots of cannabis stores. Like, it's something that is absolutely needed right now.
It certainly seems to be, from a consumer's perspective, where a lot of the retail environments look very similar, and it seems that a lot of them really tried to grab that Apple Store vibe. And again, as I mentioned, IDG has gone through a couple of these transformations where ultimately it becomes more brand focused, and it seems to me as a cannabis consumer, I'm looking forward to that day when there's more help in store, being able to use the branded displays as a bit of a signpost.
Yeah, and initially, one of the phases we've worked with a company called Ace Valley to start that journey with them in the retail, where we've developed displays that help to tell a better story for the customers. They come into the environment, they can engage with, wow, this is where the Ace Valley products are. They see what the assortment of products are specific to that display. The Ace Valley displays we've created also allow the bud tenders or the in-store staff to have a much more powerful selling tool to engage the customer and to reinforce that brand journey in the store. So really, we're at the start, as Jay's saying, we've got 1,000 stores in Canada or wherever they're even nationally, and it's now the time to take that retail interior and start working with the brands, to work with the retailers, to work together in a relationship that's going to tell a better brand story, that's going to drive basket size, and ultimately, I think, make for a much more successful journey for the customer.
And IDG has very unique ways of going through this process and developing the solution with brands, and we'll be sharing a bunch of that stuff on the 22nd.
Yeah, it's great, and we'll also be underpinning all of that with the data that shows that this is absolutely essential for retailer success, for brand success, and for helping consumers find products and add things to their basket as they go. And I think that's really compelling because Ace Valley is actually an interesting example because they do come from beverage, right? They come from
Correct.
Ace Hill, and they've seen how people interact with brand in crowded stores, with with competitive products that are right next door. Like they come at it with a very unique perspective, and I think that perspective is going to be really important for brands, for retailers, and for consumers going forward. But I'm going to leave a bunch for the 22nd because I think that we want people to continue to sign up. We're going to have probably around 400 people there, so that's really exciting for us and for you, because I think there's lots of learning to be done. So Simon and Troy, thank you so much for welcoming me here today. It's good to be with people after about 2 years, even though we're apart from each other. It's good to be in the same room. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the 22nd.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
That was Simon Gregson and Troy Cockriell from Integrated Display Group. Join us at our event on September 22nd for our Cannabis Retail Series. If you like this program, please rate us on Apple Podcast or wherever you heard the show. It helps support the work we do. We're able to do what we do because of our ongoing partners, including Alterna Savings, Cannabis at Work, Cannabis Benchmarks, Can Delta, Gallagher, Headset, and Torque & Mains. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com.